In this video, I'm going to show you what you can find in a compiled military service record from the Civil War. This video is just one example of a service record amongst thousands. I've only seen a handful of military service records from the Civil War, and that being said, I've also only seen Union service records. Don't consider me an expert in Civil War genealogy, but I'm going to walk you through what you may find in a Civil War service record when you get yours from the National Archives. And also, this is a very casual video because I'm literally just going to show you what mine looks like and walk you through it page by page. I know it says there's 59 pages. Don't be alarmed, it'll go by pretty fast. I don't really want to talk at you. This is more of a discussion as I go through this myself because I haven't looked at this for probably like a year. So I'm interested in what I'm going to find. So what we're looking at here on this first page is sort of the jacket or the sleeve that all the files come in. Now, these sleeves were compiled by the War Department in the 1890s. They compiled all the documents relating to one veteran, and they numbered all the documents, so that's what we see here. This is basically just like an index to what we're going to see. And mind you, these are very out of order. When you go to the National Archives to scan these files, they instruct you to scan everything in order that it comes out of the sleeve. So I've done that, but they are very out of order. We jump back between 1864 and 1865. The muster rolls are all over the place. I could go over here and rearrange them. I just haven't done that yet, to be honest. So just keep that in mind that things are going to jump back and forth. But here we see that my ancestor, this is my great-great-great-grandfather, George R. West. He was in the 37th Iowa Infantry, and that was the Graybeard Regiment out of Iowa. He was both a private and a lieutenant colonel. These are the muster roll cards. Number of personal papers, those refer to everything in this file that wasn't a muster roll. So we'll see those later in the file. Down here, these are the bookmarks. Now I have to refresh myself on what these mean. I'm fairly certain that they relate back to other files held at the National Archives. I believe one of them relates to the accompanying pension file, both the invalid pension and the widow's pension, which I have, and that'll be in a later video that I'll show you. And here we get to the first muster roll. And again, these are out of order. This one looks like it was December 31st, 1862. We have the date down here. He was a lieutenant colonel at this point, and he was absent. Down here it says he was absent on leave. Something that you can do with muster rolls, and that will be in a future video that I'll show you, is match them up with the histories of the regiment's movements. So for example, this muster roll says that it was taken December 31st, 1862. I could then research the 37th Regiment and see where they were on that date. And when I go to map out the movement of my Civil War ancestor, which will be another video that I do, I won't place him there because it says he was absent. But for the ones that he was present for, that is another pin on the map where I would put him. So that'll be a future video on how to map your Civil War ancestors using muster rolls. But just here's the first muster roll. Let's scroll down. When you scan these from the National Archives, you're also instructed to scan front and back as long as there's something printed or stamped or anything on the page. So I scanned the back of this, and here we see 1891. Here is the stamp that the War Department put on this muster roll to index it in the front page, the sleeve that we see. So that's just what this refers to. Here's another muster roll. This one was taken January and February 1863. He was again absent with leave since February 26th, 1863. Looks like he was absent a lot. What's that about? Keep scrolling. So, okay, here is the muster in roll. This is when he was mustered in to the regiment. Ideally, this would be page 1, but as I said, these are very out of order. It says that he was mustered in Muscatine, Iowa, December 15th, 1862. It also gives information about his past. So it gives his birthplace, Cayuga, in upstate New York. It gives his age, so from that we can deduce his birth date. So that's really lucky. If for some reason you haven't been able to find that information for your ancestor, know that it could be in this Civil War service record. And even more so, it's definitely in the pension file. The place and the date where he enlisted, so he enlisted at Dubuque in 1862. So there's another pinpoint on the map that when I go to map out his Civil War history, that's where it's going to start. It gives his physical description, so blue eyes, brown hair, light complexion, his height, which he was actually shorter than me. It gives some remarks down here and some further references to other documents that I will have to do further research in. On the back, again, it references other documents, so that is something that I will have to figure out. Scrolling down, here is a special muster roll. So this one is from 1863. He was present, so again, I can go into the regimental history and see where they were on this date and put a little pinpoint on the map for that because he was there. And a lot of this is going to be muster rolls, so I apologize, but I mean, it's useful information. Here's another muster roll, but we're back to 1862. It says he was promoted to lieutenant from private. We have that date now, December 31st, 1862. We keep scrolling down. Here's another muster roll from 1863. He was present. March and April 1863, he was present. I promise you there's more to this than muster rolls, but we just got to get through these first. May and June 1863, he was present, so this is great. Think of these as all pinpoints on the map that I'm going to make, and that you can make too. So this is really great and helpful. November and December 1863, he was neither present nor absent, so I don't know what that was all about. September and October 1863, present. January and February 1864, present. March and April 1864, present. So he was present during this whole time. That's going to be really helpful when I put these on a map. July and August 1864, present. May and June 1864, present. So here's a detachment muster roll. A detachment meant that he was detaching from his unit or location and moving to another location. So this one says, it gives the station, Camp Chase, Ohio. So I don't know if that meant that he was detaching from Camp Chase. That would be something to check with the regimental history to see where they were. If they were at Camp Chase at this date, that probably meant that he was detaching from there and moving on. So that's super helpful. Now we have like an actual location here, Camp Chase, Ohio. That was January and February 1865. Okay, we're back to 1864. As I said, these are all out of order. So September and October 1864, present. Commanding detachments. So I don't know what that means. I'm not a military buff. I don't know what that means. I also don't know what the stamp here from second auditor's roll is. That would be something to ask someone at the archives. There's another detachment roll from October 1864. Station Camp Chase in Columbus, Ohio. It looks like he was at Camp Chase quite a bit. So here's his muster out roll. So it says that he was mustered out in Davenport, Iowa on May 24th, 1865. So there is another great location to put on the map. That was the end of his service, Davenport, Iowa. Here's another detachment muster roll from 1864. We're going back in time. I promise we're getting to the end of these muster rolls. Here is another muster roll from 1865, commanding garrison since April 24th, 1865. Okay, here we get to the good stuff. So this is the end of the sleeve. I believe, if I remember correctly, this looks like the back of the sleeve. So it says that there's 7 enclosures other than the muster rolls. So there are 5 orders, 1 transportation, and 1 miscellaneous information document. So those are the papers that we're going to look at now. Muster rolls are great for placing your ancestor in certain places, but this is the interesting stuff, really. Whatever this was, it was cut off, so I don't know what this is. I think this is the transportation document that this is referring to. Well, it says order for transportation number 59, issued to Lieutenant Colonel G.R. West, 37th Iowa Infantry. Looks like it was an order for him to transport himself. And it does say St. Louis and then Franklin, Missouri. So I don't know if it was an order for him to transport himself to St. Louis or from St. Louis. Now here we have a letter from headquarters at Camp Chase, dated 1865. So it looks like it's just an order for him to muster his command for pay. So that's not very interesting. Maybe a little bit more interesting than muster rolls. This is just the back of that page, so it gives the title of the order, or what the order was and who it was for. Here's another one from headquarters in Cincinnati, dated April 1865. So this is interesting. This gives us insight into more of his movements during the war. So we have a very specific date of April 10th, 1865. Not sure where he was at this time and where Felton barracks were relative to where he was, but that I'm sure I could figure that out based on further research. Again, I'm just showing you what I'm seeing in this file and what you could come across, other questions that it may arise for you. Here's another letter, headquarters, dated December 1864. Muster his command for pay. Again, not very interesting. Here's just the back of that page. Don't know what this is. It's a little snippet that I must have scanned. September 1864, special order number 134. I have no idea what that is. Here is a little snippet of a letter. Pursuant to instructions from Department Headquarters, Lieutenant Colonel G.R. West, 37th Infantry, Iowa Volunteers, with the companies of his regiment now serving at Camp Norton. Okay, so that's great. Here we have another location, Camp Norton, is relieved from duty in this district and will immediately proceed to Columbus, Ohio, and report to Lathrop. Okay, that's great. There's another movement. We've just secured another movement to put on the map. So that's interesting. This is a lot of handwriting. It looks like this is the back or the cover. So let's scroll down and see what it is. Headquarters, Rock Island Barracks. So it looks like it's a letter from headquarters. I have the honor to acknowledge the receipt of charges and specifications against Lieutenant Colonel G.R. West, 37th Iowa Volunteer Infantry, and have accordingly placed that officer under arrest and will have him furnished with a copy of the charges and specifications immediately. What the? I suppose it will be necessary to organize a court for the trial. Okay, this is really hard to read. But it looks like he was placed under arrest, and now they're trying to secure a trial for him. This is news to me. Let's go back up here to the cover page and see what it says. So over here, headquarters, Rock Island, 1864. Acknowledge receipt of charges and specifications against Colonel G. West, etc., etc. I think it will be necessary for his trial to organize I don't know what this means. What is this? Headquarters, May 1864. Okay, so they go in order, April, May. So this is next. Judge Advocate Officer, Department of the Ohio and Northern Departments, respectfully retired to Captain Potter, maybe. As soon as all other cases which have been sent to trial, the something now sitting in Rock Island, are finished, I would recommend the ordering a court there of sufficient rank and try this officer. Okay, so here the judge advocate is recommending for trial for my grandpa. But it doesn't say what he did. So that's interesting. Maybe one of these references written in red refer to his trial. That would be something to research. I would have to go back to NARA and ask them where I could find a record of these trials. Here we have June 1864, so it was April, May, and June. Attention invited to the endorsement of Major Burnett, Judge Advocate. The General Court-Martial will be ordered on the receipt of the names of those officers now under your command that can be detailed as members of the court. Okay, so it seems like maybe they were waiting for people to be available to appear in court, maybe as his peers, or I'm not really sure how court-martials work. So that is definitely a shocker. I have no idea what he did. Perhaps the pension file that I'll go through later details this. I mean, he wasn't put into prison or anything because he was, out and living his life after the Civil War, so I don't know what this was all about. Let's see what the next page says. Shelton Barracks, Hilton Barracks, Cincinnati, Ohio, 1865. So this is after everything happened with the court-martial, I assume. Lieutenant Colonel G.R. West, 37th Regiment, Iowa Volunteer Infantry, in command of companies F and G of the 37th Regiment, Iowa Volunteers, having reported to me for duty pursuant to Special Order number 105, is hereby assigned to duty in command of something barracks, Little Barracks? In Cincinnati, Ohio. This seems like it was after everything happened with the court-martial, so I guess maybe nothing happened there. He wasn't released from duty because he's still commanding his companies. So that definitely requires further research. But here we have another location to add to our map when we map this out. I'm just at a loss of words as to what this trial could be about and these charges and specifications. So you never know what you're going to find in a Civil War service record. Here's just the title page to that page. Oh, and here we are at the end. So, like I said, a very informal video on what you can find in a compiled military service record from the Civil War, from the Union. Again, I've never seen a Confederate record. This was a Union record. And thanks for watching this and researching along with me as I discovered that I have a criminal ancestor, apparently. Wouldn't be the first, actually. My other fourth great grandfather killed his friend and then deserted his wife, so that's fun. Let me know in the comments below if this was an interesting video for you. I really like doing these sort of research along with me videos, especially in topics that I don't consider myself an expert in. And I think it's just fun for those of you who may have never seen a record like this, or maybe those of you who are watching who aren't genealogists in any way, shape, or form, but are interested in your ancestors' Civil War history. This is just an interesting way to show you what you can find. And stay tuned for the next video that I'm going to do while I show you what I found in Georgia's pension application. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe to the Roam Your Roots YouTube channel and turn on notifications to be updated every time I upload a new video. I post tutorials and travel vlogs because Roam Your Roots is all about genealogy tourism. If you have an Instagram, be sure to follow us at Roam Your Roots to stay updated with all the things we're doing, and join us on Facebook as well, facebook.com/roamyourroots.